Today, sorry, just we have changed the schedule suddenly because we have a great opportunity to listen to his wonderful lecture about the global leadership. Sooner or later you're going to be a global leader. That's why we are so much privileged to have Professor and Dr. Thomas Weakley. He came to Japan all the way from the United States to give a special lecture. Also, he has a wonderful daughter living in Tokyo, and been in Tokyo for many years, right? And I don't know whether you have heard of Hanakoto An, the Scott Sensei is her daughter, is his daughter, okay? Maybe I think you're going to talk about those things as well. So he has been specialized in global leadership, worldview study, and other Christian-related issues, He has been a professor at the Western Kentucky University in Kentucky for many years, and he has 2 grandsons, and then you have 3 children, right? Yeah. And we have been a good friend for a couple of years, and so I often took him to Waseda and also Awemogaki. But I'm now teaching at the major university, so we have a special privilege to listen to his wonderful lecture. So let's welcome Professor Weakley, so let's give him a big hand, okay? Okay, thank you for coming to our class. Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, and welcome. Good to see you this morning, or this afternoon. As Obari Sensei mentioned, this is my first time to teach at your wonderful university, Meiji. I have at Waseda, I've taught at Tokyo Tech before, and Oyama University as well, but not here. And so this is a great opportunity. I was in his class this morning. And you may be asking the question, why would a professor from America come to Japan to teach, to give special lectures? And why did I come in the first place? And so this is my daughter. She's on your screen there. Hannah Grace is her stage name. As Obari Sensei mentioned, she played Scott Sensei on the Azador drama Hanako to An. And so, great, thank you. She played Scott Sensei on Hanako to An. And so if you have seen that, but for most older people, most people over 40 have seen Hanako to An. But sometimes younger college students have not. But many of you have, maybe you have watched basically anime. Any anime fans? Any of you do? Okay. Attack on Titan. Are you familiar with Attack on Titan? My daughter sings in Attack on Titan. She is the very last song of the song in the last season is called Memory Lane, and she is the one that sings that song, Memory Lane. She also is in Fate Grand Order. She sings in Fate Grand Order. In Fate Grand Order, she has a song that she sings in Japanese. The one that's in Attack on Titan, the final season on the soundtrack, that she sings in English. And so the reason we come to Tokyo or to Japan is to live with her for a month and then to enable me to teach and interact with wonderful students like you. College students are leaders of tomorrow. They will change the world. And so for the last, actually 40 years, I have worked on the college campus teaching college students how to be better leaders in all aspects of life. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Actually, my lecture today is Insights on Personal Leadership and Purpose in Life. As Obari Sensei mentioned, I'll be here today, and then I will also be coming back in 2 weeks, and then one more time. So I'll be with you for 3 times. And so hopefully I will get a chance to know your faces a little bit more, and hopefully maybe even some of your names. I can join your Facebook page of your class. Today we're going to be talking about personal leadership and our purpose in life, and then the next time we'll be talking very specifically about global leadership and cultural intelligence. But you need to understand, all of us have people that have influenced our life. We've had men, women that have changed our life, have impacted. You have 3 pictures on your screen, and these are 3 men that have had the greatest impact upon my life. The first one there is on the left-hand side. That's a picture of my family growing up. I'm the little boy with the red bow tie. That is me. And the man there is my father, my mother, and my two sisters. That's taken in 1964 or 1965. My father, I learned a lot about leadership from my father. My father was a very, very hard worker. He was very, very committed. He was very, very, was a person who had a strong work ethic and wanted to do a job and to do a job well done. So I learned the need to work very hard from my father. The man on the right-hand side that I am pictured with was a man. All of these people have passed away. All of these individuals have died. His name was Howard Matthews. He was a man that I learned about my spiritual life. When I became a teenager, his son was my best friend. And I often went to his house and spent many, many days, hours in his home, having fun with his son, enjoying our friendship, but also learning about life, about spiritual areas of our life. I learned what it meant to become a Christian. I learned what Christianity was or is. I did not understand that. He was my spiritual leader that I learned about my family, and I learned about spiritual things, which we'll be talking about a little bit more. And then the one on the bottom or in the middle is a federal judge. I know we are speaking, this is the Faculty of Law. Each of you, I'm assuming, will become lawyers or work in the law field. He was a federal judge in the United States of America. Very, very famous judge, friends with the president. One time I was in the house and the phone rang, and I picked up the phone, and it was the governor of our state. And then I went to the mailbox, and there was a letter from the President of the United States. And this man, I learned about leadership. I learned about integrity. I learned about the importance of right and wrong. I learned about truth. I learned about law and about the significance. He used to have a phrase that soft judges make hard criminals. And so there was a sense in his life that he knew as a judge that he was to declare what was true, because there are things that are true and other things that are false. And in the law, that's what you have to decide and to discern what is lawful, what is moral, what is right, what is wrong. And all three of those men influenced my life as leaders when I was a high school student and even through my college days as well. See, all of us are impacted by someone. All of us have been led by somebody else in some capacity. And so what I want to do is this. I want you to get in groups of 3 or 4, and you can just turn and look at the table beside you or behind you and ask the question, who has been the most significant leader in your life? I have shared with you 3 of my leaders. My father, my spiritual leader, Howard Matthews, and the federal judge. But who has been your leader in your life? And what did you learn from them? Okay? So turn in groups. I'll give you about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we will discuss, and I'll find out what those are. So discuss amongst yourselves who has been your most significant leader.
Okay, you'll be encouraged to speak in English, all right? Let's just talk to your person who's next to each other, or maybe a group of 3 or 4, yeah? Okay, if you're sitting alone, just join the group. Oh, you can discuss together, yeah. All right, let's have a discussion. Yep. Come on. Maybe you do respect your father, right? Yeah, let's...
My grandfather.
Talk amongst, and then we're going to make a poll and see who those people are, okay?
Your mother, you do respect your mother?
My grandfather. Because my grandfather exercise a lot, exercise every day. So I the importance of health. Grandfather.
That's good, grandfather.
Grandfather. What? Grandfather.
Who is your leader? High school teacher. What was the topic?
What?
Math, law, English. Your English. Oh, your English teacher. How about you?
My father.
Your father? Yes. Yeah, I had a teacher that was very well when I was in high school. They taught me a lot. Very
Affection.
English. English. English.
You said your grandfather?
Yes, grandfather, because he's very exercise every morning. So I learn the importance of
Yes. You said your father? How about you? Your father as well? See, you're Arnold Palmer. You golf? I thought maybe he was your leader. Who was your leader? Professor, you're making in what field? How big? Okay.
You turn around and join this team over here. Okay, this week. You turn around and
Okay.
that'll be better.
That's great. We all have people that influence us like that. Your grandmother. Okay. And your mother. What was it about your mother or your grandmother? Okay, very kind.
So hard.
Good. And your mother?
What shall I say? What shall I
My mother is one person. She is a
Four people, you turn around and then, okay, turn around and then talk among the four. You have a three, four.
I'll give you about one more minute, and then we will
We have a discussion over here. Yeah.
we will discuss.
Do you respect your father?
Yeah.
I like my father. He was so stubborn that he always scolded me. He's a yopparai. It was good. Okay, that's very good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, give me some feedback. I'm curious, I've written some names on the board. Parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches. How many of you would say that your parents, or your mother or your father, is the most significant leader for you? Okay, that's good. My father, that was a list on him. He was a very good father for me until I was about 9 years old or 10 years old. He then became an alcoholic. And when he became an alcoholic, he drank all the time. He lost his job. We became very, very poor. And so at that point, he was no longer my leader. And I had to find another leader. So you have your parents for always. And so until they pass. And so how many of you said your grandparents? I know he did. Okay, grandmother and grandfather in the back. Grandfather? Grandfather? Okay, that's good. You know, I'm a grandfather. Obari Sensei is a grandfather. We
But
have
my
both have.
grandpa,
Yeah.
when I was 16 years old, he passed away, but he was a very heavy drunkard.
Was he?
Yeah, because my daughter was born, but she passed away in 2 weeks. She lived a life only for 2 weeks. That's
So
why
he drank too much as well?
Yeah.
Yes. What does your grandson call you? What is your grandfather's name?
my
Does he call you Papa?
Gigi.
Gigi, okay.
Gigi.
I am a Pappy. My grandson calls me Pappy. And so I have two grand boys, two little boys. How many said teacher? A teacher, okay, a teacher, all right. Your teacher taught you English, correct? That was your English teacher in high school. Someone else, yours is your teacher here in Meiji, correct? Who else had anybody else had a teacher? Okay, yeah. It's interesting, the role of a teacher. Did you have your English teacher for more than 1 year? Okay, so yeah, okay, good. And you had have you had your professor for more than one time or 2 times?
One time.
One time. So interesting. Even though you only had him for 1 semester he had an impact upon your life. And so you had the privilege of having Obari Sensei this year or this semester. You will next year and 5 years from now, you will look back and you will say Obari Sensei was a phenomenal teacher and impacted your life. So teachers are very important. Anybody coaches? Like a sports coach? You did? What sport?
Soccer.
Soccer. Okay. And you're? Okay. Well, great. Any other leaders that you've had besides parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches? Anyone else? Maybe brother or sister? Well, let me ask you, what did you learn from them? I think you mentioned your grandmother was very kind. What are some other characteristics that your grandmother or your grandfather or your parents or your teachers, what was the characteristic that made them become a leader for you? Do you know? Any thoughts? Well, we're going to discuss that topic in a few minutes, and that is what are characteristics of a good leader, because you may not be able to describe them, but they did something for you that you needed, and that's why they became a leader in your life. They offered you something, they took you someplace in your heart or in your life that helped you to become a leader. Let me give you some definitions of leadership. Leadership is influence. It's the ability of one person to influence another person. One man can lead others to the extent and only to the extent that he can influence them. So when I teach at the university in America, the test, on my very first test I ask them, give me one word for leadership, and the answer is influence. That's basically what a leader does. A leader influences another person. Another book said leadership occurs anytime one attempts to influence the behavior of an individual or group, regardless of the reason. Sometimes you have a leader in your life and you don't even know they are leading you, but they are influencing you. Sometimes it's by music. Sometimes it's by their behavior. Other times it's very direct. But they're trying to influence you, like your professor did, or your professor or your grandmother has done. Leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. This is a little bit different because here it talks about that leadership is not just with one person, but leadership involves many people as well. But it also introduces the idea of going toward a goal, or heading in a direction. See, my leader, one of my leaders, his name is Dr. Howard Hendricks. He was a professor. And he used to make this statement. He said, if you call yourself a leader and no one is following, guess what? You're just taking a walk. Meaning that if you're a leader, it assumes someone is following behind you. You are influencing another person. My definition of leadership is this. When I did my work on leadership, it says accepting a calling upon your life as you live a life of personal character, influencing others toward a worthy goal. So there's a calling upon your life, there's a drive, there is a motivation on your life, but you live a life of personal character and you influence other people toward an objective or toward a goal in life there. Now let me give some explanations a little bit about the words that were used here. One is the word calling. Calling is a sense that one is motivated either personally, by another, or perhaps by God, so decisively that everything they are, everything they do, and everything they have is invested with a special devotion, a dynamism, and direction lived out as a response to a summons in life and leadership. Earlier, I introduced the picture of my daughter, Hannah Grace. She had a calling on her life to come to Japan. She was a student in college, a freshman in college. She started reading anime and started liking the Japanese culture. She came to Japan for a summer. Then she came home. Then she graduated college and she knew, I want to go back and live in Japan. She had a drive in her life. She had a summons. It's almost as if, she started eating everything with chopsticks. And she started thinking, and she's taught herself Japanese. Now she's very fluent. She sings in Japanese and she's able to interact completely with the Japanese culture because there was something internal in her life, a calling in her life to really produce and to become something in Japan. So that's one of the reasons I have in my little definition. It's accepting a calling. It's saying something's happening. I need to be a leader upon your life to live a life of personal character to influence others toward a worthy
May I just interrupt you?
Yes.
And they may not really sure about calling, so I put it in Japanese.
Okay, did you? Okay,
I think calling is a very important keyword here in this lecture. Calling is not just calling. Okay, calling in Japanese is called 証明ね、証明、召し出されるというか。それぞれはやっぱり自分たちに能力と賜物が与えられてるんですね。そしてどういうふうな職業に召し出されるかっていうその意味でのコーリングということです。いいですね。Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you for explaining that, Bari Sensei. Yes, thank you. Does that help you understand more what a calling is? So thank you, Bari Sensei. Now, what I'd like to do now is talk about, and it's also there in the notes, of 3 relationships of every leader. Let me explain, and I'll draw this on a board here. Let's look at this one. Every leader has 3 relationships that they need to maintain or understand and function with. First of all is themselves. A leader and self, meaning how do you lead yourself? How do you function as an individual? Do you lead yourself well, which we'll be discussing very specifically in a few minutes. The other thing that most people think about as a leader is influencing other people. This is what we often characterize as leadership. All leadership is me taking others toward a goal in life. That's very important. It is assumed but these other 2 characteristics are I believe, are more significant. That is the leader in self, and secondly, the leader and their mentor. And that is, who is their leader? The reason I started out, I asked you, who is your leader? You talked about your parents, or your grandparents, or your teachers, or your coaches. For the rest of your life, you need to have a leader in your life. For the rest of your life, in your discipline, in your law program, in your education. It may not be your parents, they may pass, or your grandparents. It may not be a teacher, but someone, you need to look to someone to help influence your life. I still have it. I will be 63 years old this year, and I'm wearing a watch from my mentor. He actually died 3 years ago, and his wife gave me his watch. He was the president of a university, and he mentored me in education, he mentored me in writing, and he helped me. He was 97 years old, and I was 60 years old. And so we had a very good relationship, but I'm always looking at who is going to be my leader. Now, in the notes here, I also have mentor/God, because I will explain in a second, in a few minutes, how my relationship with God is important, even in my leadership. Now, so you have a leader. He has to lead himself, or she has to lead herself. You're going in a goal or toward a purpose. People are following you, but you're also looking toward other people in life. On your screen, I have this written out maybe a little bit clearer for you. I did this when I was teaching at Waseda by Zoom, and so because I couldn't go there last year. A leader in self, toward his purpose, toward the objective. A leader and their mentor, because what happens is you look toward the mentor, but also the mentor impacts your life. The mentor continues to lead and to lead you in their life. And for me, my relationship with God through Jesus Christ is very significant as He is my leader, as He continues to move in that direction. Now, I put up this other picture on the diagram there, is how your calling and your cause and your character. Now, let's go back to my definition just a second ago. You will see my definition. It's accepting a calling upon your life as you live a life of personal character, taking others toward a worthy goal. So let me explain what that looks like from this diagram. First, you have your calling, why you do what you do. That's and Obara Sensei has given you the Japanese word for that. You have your cause, so your calling, your cause, what are you going to be doing, but then your character, who you are. See, that relates to this person right here. All of us want to be led by someone that has a strong character, like your grandmother, who is kind, or compassionate, or caring, or a person of integrity, a person of honesty in life. And when all three of those work together, you have a very good leader when their cause, when their calling, and when their conduct all comes together. Now, I'll put this in this diagram before we move to the next point. Again, the leader and their mentor is your calling, why you do what you do. Leader in self deals with who you are, and the leader in others deals with your cause and what you do in life. Now, I want to, you're going to get in groups again. I want you to discuss this question that's on your screen. What are the top 4 characteristics that you think are important for a leader? Like, when you look toward a leader who's going to be your leader, what are the top 4 things? Discuss in your groups of 3 or 4, and then we'll come back and discuss those together in a minute. So 4 characteristics of the characteristics of a leader. Discuss those. And afterwards, what I'm going to have you do is choose one person in your group, and I'm going to ask that group what were your 4 characteristics. And so make sure one person in the group is prepared to give me the answer of what those characteristics are, or 1 or 2 of those characteristics. Okay, discuss amongst yourselves.
Okay. Okay, discuss, yeah. Like honesty, or maybe he's very intelligent, whatever, just you have to pick up 4, at least 4 characters. Speak in English, no Japanese, yeah.
The power of listening.
No Japanese, please, okay?
Is kindness one? That's good. What are some words that y'all have thought about? Honesty? Oh, good, that's very good. Honesty, good.
Hey, are you speaking in Japanese?
If you're taking notes, that's good. You know, that you handed out those notes, that was good. What other words did y'all think of? Intention?
Intelligence.
What words did you think of? Incredible. Yes, he has confidence. You said confidence and credible. Your English is very quick. Any other thoughts? Honesty? Honesty? Yeah, that's very good. Okay, good. What words did you think of? Confidence. Okay, confidence, good. Y'all have a word that you thought of? Personal? Okay, all right. Okay, great. What words did y'all think of? Pardon? Okay, communication skills, so they can communicate. Are you talking about verbally or written or both or anything? Okay, verbal communication. Good. Any other words? Sincerity, okay. Good. Did you see also being kind? Okay, sincerity, kindness. Now, the athlete, the coach, yeah, okay, soccer coach. Okay, good. That's great. What words did you think of? To do what?
the ability to speak in front of you.
Speak in front of people. Oh, good. Hi. That's good. That's good. So they can communicate, kind of communicating to you. Listening. Great. Thinking well. That's good. Okay, you've got 1 more minute to come up with any more things, and then I'll go to each group. Each group can give me some of those answers. Okay, let's discuss them a second. Start here first. I think one thing that you said was, you said communication, correct? The ability to communicate up front with someone. Okay, that was good. Okay. What else did y'all say? Did your group say?
Please.
So anyone can, who would like to communicate to me?
Eto, it's a Japanese.
honest.
How would you say
Honest,
eto?
okay. So
Hey, excuse me. How would you say eto? In Japanese, in English. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Well,
honest.
honest, okay.
The ability to decide something.
Okay, all right.
The ability to speak in front of people, listening opinion.
Listening opinion, okay, I'll write those on the board here.
okay, that's
They
good.
were, I think you said communication or
Okay.
speaking,
Well, what shall I say? No?
listening, to listen to others. What was the other one? Oh, honesty, you said honesty. Yeah, honesty, yes. Okay, honesty, all right, good. Next group over there, what were some of the things you said?
Nice.
That they were nice or kind? Okay, I think that's it, okay. What else? Good verbal communication, which is important because speaking, as two people have said that, speaking, communication, verbal, and being kind. You know, even in our culture, nowadays, all of us communicate by phone, you know, and we text. But the question, a leader cannot only text his followers. A leader has to be able to verbally communicate. A leader has to give assignments to speak, to engage people. And so learning to speak, and like this is an English one, in different languages is very important, especially if you want to be a global leader. And so that's important, that verbal skill, that verbal communication. When I was your age, when I was in junior high and high school, right before I went to college, I couldn't talk very well. I stuttered, and I was nervous, and I was scared, and I did not want to talk in front of people. And my degree in college, I graduated with a degree in speech communication. My friends in high school thought, what happened to Thomas? He could not speak. He was afraid to talk whenever he was in high school or junior high. But now I've spoken, I've done over 3,000 conferences and communications. I've talked all over the world, in Japan and in Philippines, in Slovakia, in Russia, in where else I have been, Poland, just many different countries, teaching and speaking and lecturing. And my friends think, what happened? But I had to learn how to verbally communicate, and the leader needs to learn how to do that well. This group here, what were some things that this group decided to talk about? Some characteristics.
Kindness.
Kindness, okay.
Humble mind.
Humble, yes, you said humble mind or just humble? Yes, that interesting. Kindness. And humble. You know, that is a characteristic many people do not think about in leadership. But you want to be following a person, they can have confidence and they can be a good leader. That makes them accessible to you. You're willing to talk to them because they don't put you down. They don't act arrogantly or pridefully. So I like that. That's the first time today someone has used the word humble. So I like that. Somebody else, this group, what were some of the words they used? Kindness and respect, that they respect other people. Okay, good. Okay, good. Did y'all have anything different?
Never give up and can be happy by others happy.
Okay?
Good.
I like
Very
that.
good. Yeah.
Never give up. Let me see. I'm gonna write those on. Never give up. There's a word, perseverance. That is what's the Japanese word for perseverance? Okay, yeah, and that
persevere, endure.
that a person, that a leader does not give up, and they are not dependent upon another person's happiness, but they are able to help others in some of those things that take place. Good. This group here, what are some words that you had?
Credible, kindness, honesty, respectful.
Okay. Good.
Credible and respectable are two new words that weren't mentioned up there. I'll put them on the board. Being credible and respectable. Last night, credible and respectable. Obari Sensei and I were in a meeting with professors from Taiwan and from Korea and Japan in a Zoom meeting. And I was giving a short talk with them, a short lecture, and I talked about how professors have a unique credibility because they have an education. And so you want your leader to be a person that they know what they're talking about, or they have the ability, they have credible relationship, they have information that you want to learn, and then as well that they're respectable and that you respect them as well. Anything else? What was the things that you had said a few minutes ago? You mentioned some characteristics as well.
Credible.
That was credible. Okay, all right, good. Credibility, and that's wonderful. How about this group?
Have confidence.
Confidence. Okay. And did y'all have anything to add? Communication skills and confidence. Now, confidence. You know, each of us are looking to someone to lead us. And the question is, we want these things in the person that we're looking to. And I guess the question is that true of yourself? Do you have the things that you talked about? Are those things true of your life? Now, in reality, none of us have all of those. But are you growing in that leadership? Are you learning more about yourself and having an influence in someone else's life through the aspect of leadership? Being credible, having confidence, having respect, that you're kind, that you're honest, that you're truthful, that you're willing to listen, that you can communicate verbally, that you have the ability to interact and to interact well. Well, what I want to do is I want to give you 4 characteristics of leadership that you probably have not thought about. 4 characteristics of leadership that you have not thought about. They're on your piece of paper, but I have written them out here. And it's the word life. L-I-F-E. And before I explain each point, let me explain something that's happened recently, or has happened with me, that has helped me to process this some. About 2 years ago, my phone broke. And what took place was my phone, let's do it here, was dead. And I went to the iPhone place and I asked the man, I said, my phone is dead, can you fix it? He looked at it and he said, your phone is dead, you need to throw it away and get a new phone. And I thought, no, I've got thousands of pictures of my grandson and my travels and documents and everything in my phone, and I had not backed them up, so I was very nervous. I had not put them on the cloud, and I was scared about this, and so I thought, that's not good. So I went to another technician, and he said, your phone is dead, but I can fix it. He said, but you will lose all your information. You will lose everything that's on your memory. You will lose it. And I thought, that's why I want the phone. So I can buy another phone. I want what is inside. And I called another friend and I said, who should I go to bring my phone back to life? And he said, there's one man in town that can fix your phone. And so I went to his store. I handed him my phone. The screen was black and you could not do anything with my phone. I handed him my phone and I said, I've been told by 2 people that my phone is dead. What can you do? He said, I will bring it back to life. He said, I can fix it. And in 2 days, I came back. I gave him 1,000 yen, $100, and he gave me my phone back like it was before it had died. See, he became for me a leader. Because leaders take what is dead and give it life. I was telling the class before, my son was traveling on vacation yesterday to go from Kentucky to Florida, go to the ocean, and my 1-year-old grandson got sick in the car. All of a sudden, he had a fever. He became very lethargic. He's 18 months old, and so they rushed him to the doctor's office, or they were in another town. They rushed him to the doctor's office. The doctor said, this is severe. We need to put him in an ambulance and take him to a children's hospital 3 hours away. So they put him in an ambulance, and so my son was texting me all day and all night, last night and yesterday. Pray for me, help us, we are scared, we need someone to help our son. Because they needed a leader, because they were afraid the son was going to die and was very ill, and wanted to give him life. My car broke, and when my car broke, I took it to my mechanic. It had died, would not run. Guess what my leader of my car did for me? The leader of my car brought it back to life. See, that's what we all need, because what ends up happening in our life, death causes us to be lost, or to be fearful, or to be anxious. Maybe to be sad. And what happens is we need someone to find us, or to help us to be found, to give us faith or hope, and to give us peace. And that's what a good leader does. During COVID, during the pandemic, we wanted leaders to say, yes, everybody is afraid. Now we need to go in this direction, and there's going to be hope in our life. So let me explain what life looks like. And these are 4 characteristics of leadership that help me to think about what a good leader does for us. First of all, a good leader leads by example. They lead by example. Even these characteristics that are here. The leader may tell you to be honest, but if he or she is dishonest, you don't want to be with them. You know, the good leader needs to be an example of humility. A leader needs to be an example of being credible, or being respectable, or having confidence. But he or she needs to lead by example. They set the pace. They come in front of you, and they say, we're going in this direction. Follow me. Because leadership involves or assumes that there is a follower. Secondly, the I stands for leaders inspire others. They give a sense of inspiration. They give a sense of hope, a sense of vision. a sense of purpose. We'll discuss purpose toward the end of the lecture today. And they inspire you. They say, yes, I want to do that. When I took my phone and he said, I can fix it, I got excited. Because I thought, yes, I get my stuff back. Or when that judge said, Thomas, you can go to college. He inspired me to go to college because I was not going to go to college. Third, a leader helps you to go from fear, which we talked about, from fear to faith, or trust, or hope. It has the aspect of courage. We live in a society, we live in a world that is motivated by fear. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of making mistakes. We're afraid of taking a risk. We're afraid of not being successful. And what a good leader does is inspire us and gives us the faith that we need to move forward. I like this because, again, I mentioned earlier, my leader, I've mentioned some mentors of mine, but the most important leader in my life is the person of Jesus Christ, in my relationship with God through Jesus. That's the most important leader in my life. One of his followers, by the name of John, wrote this statement 2,000 years ago. He says that perfect love casts out fear, but love casts fear away. See, perfect love casts out fear because fear involves punishment. And what we want a leader to do is to love us and to love us perfectly. And in my relationship with God through Jesus Christ, He did that for me. He loves me and He loves each of you. He loves everyone. That same follower, the guy named John, said that for God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. See, a leader takes us who are fearful, maybe fearful of the future, or fearful of what's coming next, and gives us faith and courage and trust. And I believe most of us are afraid. And the last thing is the E stands that a leader encourages the heart. That a leader encourages your heart. Not only does he or she inspire you toward a mission or toward an objective, but they say, yes, you can do this. Yes, come join me, and we're going to change the world, or come join me, we're going to make something significant. And they get you excited in your heart, and they encourage you to do what you need to do. Because a good leader is humble. He's not just thinking about himself, he is thinking about you. And he's thinking, how can I help you? How can I encourage you in your heart? Now again, you had all of these characteristics of a good leader, but you probably did not think about that a leader takes what is dead and gives it life. And you probably do not think about these 5 things, or these 4 things, about leading by example, inspiring others toward a vision, a goal, and a purpose, goes from fear to faith, and encourages our heart. That's what a leader is, and that's on your notes there. Those are issues of a relationship with the person we're looking to. Now I want to give you 3 characteristics of a leader and self. 3 characteristics of a leader and self, and I'll put this up here. Oh, one other thing, I forgot to mention this, and I told Obari Sensei this in the last class earlier today. And I learned this about a month ago about what fear is. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is when we think something is going to happen that's not going to happen, and we get afraid. It's false evidence, but it appears real. Because most of the things that you and I are afraid of are not going to happen. And so we need someone to impart to us faith. We need someone to impart to us courage and hope. Now there are 3 words on a leader and self that I think will help you, that if you're going to lead yourself, there are 3 things I believe are very, very important to understand. The first one is desire. The aspect of desire. Desire is, what do you want? And it relates to your heart. Do you want to be a leader? Do you want this accomplishment? Do you want a degree from a major university? If you don't, your desire is in your heart. A leader cannot put anything into your heart. You have to think about it. My daughter said, I'm moving to Japan. Actually, she was here. She came to Japan after the tsunami hit 10 years ago, 11 years ago. A week before she was going to get on the plane to come back to America, she called me. She emailed and said, Otto-san, we need to talk. And so I called her up on the phone. We had FaceTime, and she said, I'm not coming home. I will see you in 6 months. I'm going to stay in Japan because I want to be an actress in Japan. She had a phenomenal desire that was in her heart. When you lead yourself, you have to have a desire. What do you want in life? Number 2 is your drive. And then I ask the question, how bad do I want it? See, you can have a heart's desire. You can want something to be true, but if you do not have the drive, you will not do it. It's that, how bad do you want to accomplish that task? Or how bad do you want that to be successful in that certain activity or that certain job? The word drive. It relates to your work, to the word motivation. Now, 2 weeks from now when I come back, I'm going to talk about CQ motivation and CQ drive. And we're going to talk about cultural intelligence and what is a person's motivation to be culturally intelligent or to be a global leader. So we'll come back to this again as well. But the last D is discipline. How will I do it? It's your actions. In many ways, it may look like this diagram. You have your heart, you have your head, and you have your hands. If you have a lot of heart, but you do not have the drive, you will not accomplish it. If you have the drive, but do not have the actions, you will not do it. And so all 3 of those are it's our head, it's our heart, and it's also our actions, our behavior. The word for discipline means, the last class a person asked me, what does it mean to be disciplined? Discipline basically communicates that when you have an assignment in class to do, you do it. And you don't postpone. Or when your alarm goes off in the morning and you need to get up at 7 o'clock, you get up at 7 o'clock instead of getting up at 7:30. And so it's the aspect of doing what you say you're going to do. It's being true to your drive so that you can be true to your desire. But all 3 of those have to be working together, or one does not make it in life. Does that make sense? Desire, drive, and discipline. Now let me ask you a question. I'm going to have you get in groups again for just a second. And that is, I want you to ask the question, which one is easy? Which one is the easiest? Easy? And which is the hardest? Now, meaning, is desire easier than discipline, or is discipline harder than drive? If for you and for other people, which is easy and which is the hardest for a person to overcome in leadership?
To overcome what? Leadership?
Yeah, to overcome personal leadership. Which is easiest to overcome or easiest to have, and which is the hardest to have to lead yourself personally?
Okay.
We'll just take 1 or 2 minutes. Now we won't discuss this very long, but just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, talk to your partner, okay? Yeah, sit. If you're sitting alone, just move around. Okay. I talk to your partner. Yep.
I think.
Which is the hardest?
I think desire is because it is only thing. But I think discipline is the most difficult because in the future, don't.
Okay, could you speak a little bit down? Okay, your voice is so loud, but it's okay. Yeah, sometimes.
So you said desire is easiest, discipline is the hardest.
What I want to do is freedom.
Okay, just open up your mouth.
We don't know.
What is the house?
That's good.
Ice cream. We don't know. So we
Okay, good. We can have a desire anytime.
What do you think? Which one's harder, which one's easier?
It's a little bit discipline yourself.
Easy, okay. Know what you want, right?
Please speak in English, okay? No Japanese, please.
Okay. Yes, you don't have to do it, yes. You can have a desire, but you don't have to do it until it's, yes, that's good. That's good. Which one's the hardest and which one's the easiest? Discipline, okay. Yeah, that's what they said over there too, so that's, well, okay, give me some feedback. I'm curious, I've heard 2 or 3 of you say, which is the hardest how many of you say that the easiest is desire? That's the easiest to have. It's easy to have a desire in our heart. Okay, good, all right. Which I think that's very true. What do you want? Oh, I want this, and I want this, and I want to be the best, and I want to get all A's, and I want to look good, and I want to lose weight, and it's very easy to have desire. Okay, which is the hardest? Drive or discipline? How many say that drive is the hardest to have? Hold your hand up. Okay. All right. How many say discipline is the hardest? How many don't know? Yes, discipline. That is interesting. I was speaking to 300 college students on Valentine's Day in America 3 years ago, and I had they were freshmen, sophomore, all college students. And I had a young lady ask me, I have been married for 42 years, and so I have some experience about marriage and love. And so I had this young lady ask me, she said, what do I need to look for the man I want to date and eventually marry? And I thought, that's a real good question. And I said a number of things, but one of the first things I said was, does he have any drive? Or does he just want to sit in his room and play video games? You know, does he have an ambition? Does he want to lead? Or are you going to have to lead in the relationship? See, I believe I think you're right. I think discipline, if you do not have drive, you will not be disciplined. Discipline almost produces drive in your life. Drive, again, is that, how bad do I want to do it? 6 years ago, I had a heart attack, and I weighed 180 pounds. I was actually exercising when I had my heart attack, and all of a sudden, my heart, I couldn't breathe very well. I had shortness of breath, so I stopped exercising, and I thought, something's wrong. And so I took some water, and I was trying to get myself back in shape, and all of a sudden I realized I wasn't getting back in shape, and I could not catch my breath, basically. And so I went into the house, and I walked up to my wife, and I said to her, she looked at me and she said, "You do not look good." And I said, "Well, you said that before," but she was basically saying that I was not looking good because something was happening in my heart. I had a heart attack. We rushed to the hospital, and as we rushed to the hospital, I got to the hospital, went to the emergency room. They put me on that bed, that chrome bed, and I thought I was going to die. I was fearful that I was about to die. The doctor walks in. The doctor, and I'll explain. My leader walks in, and he says, "Do not worry, I will take care of your life." And he went through a procedure, and they put a stent, they put a little tube in my heart, so my heart would be able to function properly. The pain was overwhelming. The pain, it was excruciating, very, very terrible. And I asked the doctor, I said, "When is this pain going to stop?" And he said, "It's not going to stop until I put this tube in. And I have 2 minutes to go." And then in 2 minutes, he finished, and he said, "How are you doing?" And I felt fine. And then he said to me, "Sir, you had a massive heart attack. I just saved your life. You had 5 minutes to live." He was my leader, but then he said to me, after that took place, he said, "Now you're going to have to start eating differently and acting differently, and you're going to have to get in better shape so you do not have another heart attack." And at that point, I had a leader that I was looking to, but I had to lead myself. I had a desire. I wanted to be healthy. I had drive. How bad do I want to be healthy and not die of a heart attack? And what will I do? And I lost 20 pounds in weight. And now I walk 2 miles every day. I do push-ups, I do pull-ups, I exercise regularly so I can stay healthy because of how bad I want to stay healthy for my grandkids. See, you may have a desire, but if you do not have the drive and the discipline, then you will not accomplish that desire. But if you tell your leader, "This is my desire, will you help me?" then he can help you overcome and help your drive and also help your discipline. Well, for the next 10 minutes, what I'd like to do is talk about our purpose in life, and that's in your notes next, and how every leader needs to know their purpose. Very first diagram, I talked about a leader is going toward a purpose in life. When I was in high school and college, this is the home I lived in. My father had become an alcoholic. He had become a drunk. We lived way out into the country in Kentucky, and as you can tell, the house began to fall down in life. And this room here that you're looking at now in that picture, that was my bedroom. I'd never had a bedroom before. I had slept on the floor up until I was 14 years old, but this house did not have any heat in it. That bedroom, when it was cold in the winter, I would take a glass of water, and then I would drink some, set it beside my bed, and when I woke up in the morning, it would be frozen. Every day, I would bring in bottles of water so we could drink and that we could cook with in our house. We would fill our bathtub full of snow, and then we would try to melt it so we would have water in our home. So when I went off to college, my purpose in life was 4 things: to get an education, to make a lot of money, to buy a lot of things, and to be happy. Education, money, things, and to be happy. But my sophomore year in college, I started to realize that those things do not bring happiness. Those things are not fulfilling. Those things are not what a purpose is all about. Blaise Pascal made this statement. He said, there is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of every person, and it can never be filled by any created thing. It can only be filled by God, made known through Jesus Christ. See, all of us have a heart problem, not just by heart attack. And the only way that we can fulfill our ultimate desire is if we fulfill it by the things that the Creator, God, wants to do in our life. And so what I learned to do was I learned to start thinking about my purpose in life. And what I also asked all of my students, the very first class period that we have in Kentucky, the students had to write on a piece of paper what their purpose in life is. Let me read to you what one of my students actually said. This was a student named Bob, 15 years ago. This is what he said his purpose was. He said, my purpose in life is there is no real purpose for me. Then he says this, like all animals, we are just here for a little while and then we die and we pass away and nobody remembers us anymore. Why are we here, you ask? Just because, I think. Simply just because. It says, life is like playing Russian roulette, just with all of the chambers full in it. I live my life knowing that my purpose may never be shown to me, but up until then, I will just be confused. See, this individual, this student of mine, did not believe that he had a purpose for his life. He thought he was like an animal, like a cow or a dog or a sheep or any other kind of animal. He didn't understand that he was created for a very special purpose in life. And I believe each of us, all humanity, every human, is here for a purpose. And your objective in life is, what is my purpose? And how do I find that purpose? And most importantly, in my relationship with God. Let me give you 5 things that a purpose does. Here, they're about to be completed. First of all, knowing your purpose gives meaning to your life. It helps you to know why you get up in the morning. Is it just to go to school? Is it just to make an A? Or is knowing your purpose, see, knowing your purpose gives meaning. It tells you why you do what you do. Number 2, knowing your purpose simplifies your life. Not only tells you what to do, but it also tells you what you don't do. It says, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do this. It simplifies your life. Number 3, knowing your purpose helps to focus your life. See, it's like basically a laser beam. Simplify says what you do, but focusing is like, a laser is focused light. And when you know your purpose, it kind of gives you an intensity. It gives you a drive to say, this is what I'm going to do. You're all in the faculty of law. Your major is, I guess, is law, a law degree. And to do that, you had to focus. You had to decide what your focus will be. When you know your purpose in life, it helps you to focus. Number 4, Knowing your purpose provides motivation for your life. It tells you, yes, I'm excited about getting up in the morning. This is why I want to do what I need to do. And lastly, knowing your purpose prepares you for eternity. Have you ever thought about if you have a cat or a dog or a pet, or if you looked at an animal at a zoo, that when you think about a cow, or you think about a dog, or a cat, or a lion, or a bear, they do not think about what happens to them after they die. But every human thinks about what happens after I die. Dogs just die. People, do we just die, or is there more to it? I believe there is more. Our relationship with God, because of Jesus Christ, can help us. And He forgives our sin and can give us eternal life. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have eternal life. So knowing your purpose helps prepare you for eternity. Now, I want to ask Malari Sensei to help explain this, because he has some thoughts that are very significant in this area. So, Malari Sensei, would you talk more about your purpose?
Yes, I think it's better for me to put it in Japanese. 例えばね、彼自身が経験したことっていうのは先生ね、非常に貧しかったと。で、大学入ってね、教育を受けて、いろんな、ね、成功してお金持ちになってだな、そしてハッピーかと言ったらば、それでも自分の人生っていうのはエンプティネスを感じたっていうことで、空虚さっていうかね。で、その空虚さ、人の与えられた空虚さっていうのは、自分の努力とかね、あるいはこの世からどんなにその成功して、あるいはお金持ちになったとしても、そういうもので自分の心っていうのは満たされないっていう、そういう体験をしたってことを話してるんだね。で、それからここにあるように、人生の目的っていうのはある意味ではね、それぞれ人間っていうのはコーリングを持ってるわけよ。証明っていうのは神が召した一人一人に与えられた命っていうかね。で、そういうものを感じてな、自分の人生の目的とか意義っていうものがしっかり分かると、さっき言った5つあるよね。Could you go back to
the bad things? Yes.
ここにあるように5つね、人生の目的をすると、自分の人生っていうものが何のために生きてるか、コーリングを知るとな、分かるわけだよ。そしてそれが自分自身、非常に人間の頭の中ってのは複雑にできてんだけど、自分がどういうふうに生きればいいかってことをしっかりとすればね、それがもっと単純化してシンプリファイするってことだよ。それから自分が何をしていいか、無駄なことをしなくてもいいっていう、大切なこと、人生において大切なことにもっと集中して生きられるっていうことなんだな。そしてここにあるように、モチベーションなんかをしたいと、ね、正しいモチベーションを持ってドライビングフォースだ、ね、自分に与えられた人生をしっかりと目的に向かってだな、歩んでいくことができるということ。それで最後はここにあるようにエタニティっていうか、ね、彼はクリスチャンだから神は実にその一人の賜ほどにこの世を愛されたと。それは主イエスを信ずる者は誰一人として滅びることなく永遠の命を得るためであるって、すなわち死後の世界だな。みんな世界観で勉強したよな。だから死後の世界も永遠の救いっていうものを与えられるということを人生の目的を持つと大事なんだと。これリック・オーレンさんが言ってるんだけどね、この人のビデオっていうのは何百万の人たちが見てるっていうか、だからこれ見てください、 YouTube でリック・オーレンで。だから人生やっぱ目的を持って、しっかりと目的を持って生きるってことが大切なんだってことなんです。で、人間のこの虚無感とかそういうものは自分の努力とかね、この世の与えるものとは違うってことを覚えておいたらいいってことを彼は言ってるんだね、自分の経験を通してね。いいかな、大体分かるポイントね、そこね。これものすごく重要なことだからね。で、みんな何のためにで、私の期末試験はいいかな、 Where do you come from? What am I here for? から What is the purpose of your life? この3つは必ず英語で書けるようにね。だからそれはしっかりと考えることですね。Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
You
please.
see, more or less, I've been married with my wife, for almost 37 years.
37
I have never neglected my marriage, But some people really get divorced easily.
Yes.
So could you give us a good suggestion? How could we find out the best partner? It's
Okay.
essentially brought up some certain issue regarding to the desire, drive, and
Yes.
also discipline. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me be keen on listening to that.
Yes,
advice,
I will be glad to give that. I talk a lot on relationships. I believe that to be married means that you and the person that you're going to marry, you're not the same, you're different, but your differences come together. But at the very center of your life, you have the same purposes and objectives. If, for instance, I have a number of friends who, I have a friend who wanted to be a farmer and drive a tractor. His wife wanted to be a lawyer and hang out make lots of money being a lawyer. And so he wanted to spend the money on the tractor. She wanted to spend the money on a Mercedes. They were married for 3 years and they got a divorce because they had different values. It actually goes to this next picture here, up here, purpose, values, goals, and plan. If you date someone and marry someone that has a different purpose in life, you're going to have conflict. If you date someone and marry someone that has different values, let's say you value honesty, you value your family, you value love and care, they value money, they value things, they value accomplishment, and so he works 80 hours a week and she never sees him, then you have a different set of values. And that's going to cause conflict in a relationship. Now, for me, the thing that has kept it, I'm sure this is true for you, Abara Sensei, at the very center, let me draw this out and then we'll be done. The very center issues of your life have to be the same. Your values, your purpose, and your relationship with God have to be the same. These things here, hobbies can be different. I like to exercise. My wife does not like to exercise. I like to watch race cars. My wife likes to watch cooking shows. That's okay. Those are over here. But we have these center things are what's very, very important. And that's where you have to think through what are his purposes, what's my purpose, what are my values, and my goals in life. That's a very, very quick answer. We can discuss, maybe we can discuss that more next time when I come. You've been married 37 years, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll be 42 years. It hasn't always been easy, but it has always been fulfilling in life. What I've tried to do today for you is this. I've tried for you to think about your own life and you being a leader. Every leader has 3 relationships. Their relationship with others, their relationship with self, and their relationship with their mentor, hopefully their God. In that relationship, there's characteristics of leadership that you need to look for a leader that gives you life. They lead by example, they inspire others, they overcome fear and faith, and they encourage your heart. But you need to be a person with the right desires, drive, and discipline. But that all begins with your purpose.
Okay.
If you do not know your purpose, why you are here, then you're going to go all over the place until you find that. So, as a young college student, think about and work on your purpose. When I come back next time, we'll talk about the word plan, and we'll talk about having a plan to be a global leader and to understand what it means, what you need to know as a leader to lead in a global society. Or
Okay,
since
thank
the
you very much. I
alternative.
really appreciate that. We have been very much inspired by your talk. Okay, so let's give him a big hand. Thank you very much. Yeah. はい、それでは今からですね、今日学んだことを今配ったノートにですね、書いてください。まず日本語で、今日何を学んだかなってこと、はい、ノートは見ないでね、ノート何にも見ないで今感じたことをちょっと日本語で綴って、ノートに行くとバイアスかかるからノート何にも見ない。自分で感じたことは頭に入ったことね、はい。ノートは後でゆっくり見せるから今いいです。はい。何に一番、ね、感動して、どう感じたかってこと、フィーリングをね、どんなことを話したかって内容はいいですから、自分が本当の感じたことをね、